Good morning, principal, teachers, and students. If you were given an opportunity to go back in time, what would you change? Or more importantly, who would you want to meet? I'm Ms Saiman, and this morning I'm here to share a book that I've recently finished reading, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Written by the Japanese writer Toshikazu Kawaguchi and translated by Geoffrey Trousselot, the book delves into human relationships with the aid of fantastical setting. Basically, in a narrow back alley in Tokyo, there is a small basement cafe named Funiculi, which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But coffee is not all that it serves. Legend has it that this cafe offers its customers a unique experience of traveling back in time. Yes, you heard it right. It's about time travel. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Well, here's the catch. There's a list of rules that customers have to follow if they really want to travel back in time. The rules are: first, you can only go back in time when you're seated at a particular seat in this cafe, which is usually occupied. Second, during your visit to the past, you must stay in the seat and never move from it, or you'll face certain repercussions. Third, the only people you can meet while you're in the past are those who have visited the cafe. Next, no matter how hard you try, you cannot change the present. And lastly, and most importantly, there's a time limit. You must return from the past by drinking the entire cup of coffee before it gets cold. And that's how the name of the book is formed, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. Now, after hearing these sets of rules, would you still like to travel back in time? Well, most people in the story chose not to. And I mean, why wouldn't they? It seems like a waste of time if you can't change anything. If I were given this opportunity, I'd probably want to go back in time to make certain amendments in life, so that my present could be slightly different or perhaps even better. Anyways, in this novel, we are told the tale of 4 characters who decide to make use of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet their loved ones. For the sake of not spoiling the story for you, I'm going to leave the details out so that you can go and read the book to find out how these characters are linked to each other and how their emotions and relationships unfold. Personally, I'm not the kind of a person who enjoys science fiction and all, but there was something about this book that really kept me going. With approximately 200 pages, this book is definitely not a long read. Plus, it's exquisitely written and well-paced, which makes it so easy for readers to read. I mean, you can literally finish the book within a couple of hours if you're focused. Having said that, I did take my time with it to let everything properly sink in. Although the book narrates individual stories from 4 different characters, the writer does a beautiful job in bringing them all together to create one big moving story about life, death, loss, and hope. It starts off with an impersonal setting and gradually becomes intimate. And finally, towards the end, you can really get into the depth of the story and its characters. It's quite heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. Additionally, we also read about these characters who are flawed and at times unlikable and frustrating, but they're also very human, which makes it so easy for us as a reader to relate to them. They also end up in situations that many readers can empathize with. As someone who is emotional, I'm not ashamed to admit that one of the stories from the book had me ugly crying. It really does hit you in the feels. Well, the book may be a bit confusing in the beginning because it can actually take you a while to familiarize yourself with the characters, especially considering that they have Japanese names. And also, some people may find it a little bit dreading and long-winded because there are some times in the book where the writing gets a bit repetitive, but there's a purpose to it. Basically, because the novel was originally written for a play, so the writing tends to be quite detailed and repetitive for that to facilitate. Anyways, once you get past that, it's a wonderful read. What's more important is that this book allows you to reevaluate certain things in life and encourages you to take a different approach to come to resolutions with certain events. There's one particular quote in this book that really gets you thinking. It goes something like, "At the end of the day, whether one returns to the past or travels to the future, the present does not change." So, it really raises the question, just what is the point of that chair? The chair that takes you to the past. For me, it's simple. The chair clearly serves a purpose. It's not useless. It's just a matter of what kind of purpose does it serve for you, because I believe that's subjective. For some, the chair may be a symbol of realization. For some, it could probably provide them with some sort of closure. And for some, perhaps it'll arouse some sort of regret. No matter what the situation may be, one thing that's common is the chair is a symbol of reflection. This story implicitly makes us realize the importance of self-reflection. In life, all our actions bear some sort of consequences. We may not be able to undo the things that we have done in the past. However, through self-reflection, we can reflect on and evaluate our previous choices and make adjustments as necessary. Sometimes, it's important to take a pause in life to reflect so that we can improve ourselves and mend our relationships with our close ones for the sake of our betterment. Now, I know I can go on talking about this book, but time's limited, so I better stop here. Anyways, in short, just like a cup of coffee, this masterpiece has left a bittersweet taste on my mind, which definitely warms my heart. Now, before signing off, I want to remind you that you can head over to Google Classroom to write your reflection for this morning assembly and answer 2 questions that are specifically chosen for you. The first question is, if you were given the opportunity to go back in time, what would you change or who would you want to meet? And the second question is related to the book, as it's a literature that has been translated from Japanese into English. Do you think we should read more translated literature? I look forward to receiving your responses. Now, this is the end of my sharing. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed.